Rumors, and more rumors. Well, I mean, this is the first bit of rumors we've had in a while, and definitely want to go over this a little bit regarding our roster. Going through training camp, and we've only been through 3 training camp practices so far. And want to go over, obviously, something with Jalen Hurts that was very interesting as well. So let's get straight into it.
We better do. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So I want to go over some news for the Philadelphia Eagles. And the first thing I want to go over is some rumors. Now, obviously, we have to take everything with a grain of salt when it comes to rumors. That's the name of the game with this type of stuff. But yeah, let's go straight into it. So, some ML football says Philadelphia Eagles general manager Howie Roseman has been lurking around the safety market. League sources familiar with the situation tell ML football multiple top tier safeties are currently unhappy with their current contract situation, and Philly could look to get them on the cheap, a front office executive said. This would be similar to what they did last year, acquiring Chauncey Gardner-Johnson for cheap right before the season. Now, yeah, I mean, we're only through 3 training camp practices, and Sean Desai has said that he is going to move guys around, that there's no first team, there's no second team, and there's no third team. They're just going to be moving guys around and, giving everybody a fair shot. Now, at the safety position right now, after when Chauncey obviously left, we traded 2 draft picks for him last year, and I guess Howie Roseman said to himself, if this guy works out really well, we're going to re-sign him. And that obviously didn't happen. So the plan B option was getting Terrell Edmonds, he's a nice little stopgap player, but is he the answer? We've seen Kevon Wallace start with the safeties with Reed Blankenship. Reed Blankenship has probably been the one player that has stayed in the lineup, pretty much consistently throughout training camp so far. It's been Kevon Wallace and Reed Blankenship. It's been Terrell Edmonds and Reed Blankenship. So with the second team, you've had Justin Evans. You've had, you've had Sidney Brown move from second team to third team back to second. You know what I mean? So it's been all over the place as of right now. And I don't know if the Eagles think they, have a good safety room right now, if they think it's enough going into the season. Now there are, we've talked about a lot of safeties early in the offseason that, weren't happy with their contracts, and potential safeties that could be traded. I looked at the free agents. The list is not good. There's really nobody out there. And that's why Howie wants to, look at a safety that's got 1 more year left on his contract, low cap number, and, could potentially, it would be nice to have a safety for the future. At least somebody comes in the room. And I think there's some better ones out there than we have with Chauncey, at least with one guy at least, and the rest of them, a couple guys. But realistically, we need to look at this list here to see who's really available for trade. Now, I didn't go to every NFL team to see what safety has 1 more year left. I'm just going by what I know so far as of right now. And in the comment section below, definitely let me know on other safeties that you know of contract-wise that are available that we can go get. Because Howie doesn't stop, and I feel like he's going to acquire a player, whether it's another defensive end in Yannick Ngakoue, whether it's another linebacker, because I know Quan Alexander just signed with a team, so he's off the list now. There's only a few names left at linebacker, which is you have Miles Jack that's still there, Deion Jones, Zach Cunningham, Rashawn Evans, Kyle Van Noy. Those are the only linebackers that are available. Free agency-wise, obviously you have the Patrick Queen stuff. You have obviously Isaiah Simmons is another one if they want to get another linebacker. But with obviously certain things happening at linebacker right now, and the Kobe Dean obviously being, is the green dot, the guy that's calling the plays. Sean Desai is throwing a lot at Nakobe Dean right now, putting a lot of pressure on him, and it seems like he's handling it very well. If Christian Ellis, will play with the first team on the 3rd day of training camp, and he's been making plays really since OTAs into training camp. And I feel like maybe there is a gem there at linebacker. Maybe they don't want to go after a linebacker right now, because other than that, if Nicholas Morrow doesn't work out and Ellis don't work out, I don't have much into Davion Taylor and all that stuff like that. So I'm just kind of spitballing, where I think the Eagles are going to put their money into. And maybe they think safety is a weak position right now. Maybe that's why Howie Roseman is making phone calls constantly to teams to get something done here. So to go over obviously what's available, what's out there, maybe there's a player that seemed like they weren't available, but they could secretly be available if the Eagles do make the phone call. Now, Antoine Winfield Jr. is obviously a great corner. Okay, he's got 1 year left on his deal. His cap number for the year is only $2.1 million, which is nothing. So that's, this name has been thrown, a few times here and there and throughout this whole entire offseason, especially when Chauncey left. And that seems like we were looking for a high caliber safety in that regard. So that was somebody that was very interesting to see if we can acquire him in a trade. Jeremy Chinn's another one. Obviously, this is the one we missed out on the past couple of years in the draft. And, there's another guy that's available right now. His cap number for 23 is only $3.3 million, so not bad at all. If they want a high caliber guy, obviously the Budda Baker thing seems to be the dream is kind of over, I guess, right? I mean, he ended up getting a raise. And maybe that means he is staying. I think this dream is kind of over with now. Or maybe it's not. Maybe he gets the raise and maybe he'll get to keep some of that money, but maybe he won't. Maybe the Eagles will trade for him and maybe they'll redo his contract where he'll get that money that was owed. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just spitballing some ideas here. Kevin Byard was another one that was available, that was potentially available for a while. And he was making way too much money. So he took a restructure. He got more money up front so they could save some cap space. So the Titans got a good one. Kevin Byard was like the number one safety on my list because I think he is from Philadelphia. I could be wrong. If I do remember when he was having contract issues and they wanted him to take a pay cut. And so now I guess they figured on a restructure. It wasn't too long ago they got the restructure done. So when you look at the safety position, what's available out there, there's guys there, but it just depends who the Eagles are calling from. Any other teams, I have no idea right now. Especially if it's a high caliber type player, then I'm not really sure that they want to get on the cheap against the cap for the year. And there's plenty of them out there. Antoine Winfield Jr. is definitely probably the number one on my list. That's probably the most realistic, unless they can still call the Cardinals for Budda Baker or Tennessee. I think that's pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered with Byard staying in Tennessee. So, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, with Chauncey, last year they signed him really late in the offseason. They signed him very, very late into training camp and before the season started. So he was getting acclimated to playing a different position. He didn't really flourish the first few games. And then when he started to really get a rhythm at the position, he really started to do really well. And unfortunately, we couldn't re-sign him. I think that was Howie's plan going into this offseason the first day. I mean, if we signed Chauncey, we probably wouldn't have signed Bradbury, most likely. Or maybe they would have signed both, but I think if you signed Chauncey, I don't think Bradbury would be in the building right now, and definitely a lot would be different. I don't know. Maybe the draft would have been a little bit different. Who knows? Going into everything, because the Eagles had 2 first-round picks this past draft. So, don't really know what's going to happen here, but these rumors will fly, and we'll see what happens. Secondly, Jalen Hurts, some of these guys are, Jalen Hurts is on a mission, okay? I guess somebody took a picture of Jalen Hurts at a meeting, and his screensaver is him walking out the field of the Super Bowl with the confetti coming down after that loss. And it's just motivation at the end of the day. I talked about Nick Sirianni and how he's being more firm and more strict on this team a little bit. Still playful, still the same guy, but when it comes to the coaching and doing his job, Nick Sirianni wants to make sure that this team is not going to go through a slump, because most teams that end up in the Super Bowl and lose or win the year after, most times you're changing coaches. Teams are trying to pry coaches from your roster. There's free agents that have to get paid. There's, maybe coaches get fired and have to replace them and change the whole formality of the team, So a lot of teams can't get back to that game for a lot of reasons. But with the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm not trying to be biased or anything, but I feel like the culture is so strong here, and Jalen Hurts gravitates those players towards him, and Nick Sirianni created this culture in Philadelphia when he became the head coach here. So I feel like this year is a very different than the last 2 years with Sirianni, because I think that gut-wrenching loss in the Super Bowl, for a lot of reasons, defensively and obviously outside noise of what really happened on the field, that, you know, I'll probably never get over. But this is just a motivational tool. And the best motivational tool is, and like I said, remember I told you guys about the Sirianni thing, about it was just gut-wrenching for him to, he knows his team is so close to getting a second championship. He knows it's close. And obviously the NFC is not a great conference right now. You know, the NFC East might be the best division in football this year once again. So you don't know what's going to happen. But this right here definitely is an emotional one for me, because, you know, it was just a shitty experience to go through that. And, you know, him to, you know, that's what sucks about losing the Super Bowl or just having a loss in general. You have to get interviewed, you have to talk about it, and you just want to go home. You don't even want to talk about any of this. So to see that as kind of like an inspirational, motivational tool for him to, you know, kind of take a step forward and say, I'm getting back to this damn game. I'm going to win this game next year. I'm going to take this team right back where we were. And with Brian Johnson at his side as the offensive coordinator, because Brian Johnson, his reputation of every quarterback that Brian Johnson has worked with, including Dak Prescott over the years, okay, has been unbelievably great. I mean, beyond great. And I think Hurts hasn't even reached his ceiling yet. That's how scary this is. This whole thing is really scary. So I never knew like he would actually do this, but I definitely understand it in a lot of ways. And yeah, I mean, it's a motivational tool, and he's on a mission this year, and that's just the truth. So can't wait to see what Hurts does, you know, with with the new running backs in the backfield. Obviously, with this offensive line, it's been fantastic, and it's gonna be another great year. It's gonna be an even better year for Jalen Hurts statistically. So there's no doubt about that. So I know that between Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, it's the mindset is there. The same mindset is there, and they're not taking this off season lightly. They're not taking every minute of training camp lightly. It's all going to come down to, you know, preparation and syncing this offense and defense together with two new coordinators, which I'm not really making a big deal about. I want to see. I'm more excited what this defense is going to do this year and see how different it's going to be. As much as it will look similar like last year, but obviously some moving pieces. And you actually have a defensive coordinator that's very creative, and he understands the city of Philadelphia and understands, you know, when he was a defensive coordinator in 21, he didn't really have much talent there. And he created, and he statistically did pretty good with that defense for not having too much, great assets on that defense as well, player-wise. But, yeah, so I just wanted to talk about that real quick. So I think safety is going to be, I don't know. I got to, like I said, it's too early. We've only been through 3 practices. We haven't got full pads on. We haven't went through joint practices with the Bears and the Colts yet. We haven't even been through one preseason game yet. So, you know, there's a lot. You know, it's still very early, and to jump the gun and say, you know, maybe he's fishing right now. He's calling teams, seeing who's available, potentially what a team could trade. You know, the Eagles are slated to have 11 to 12 draft picks next year. Plus, who knows what compensatory picks they're going to have next year. You know what I mean? They're going to have 2 second-round picks next year on top of, 10 other picks. It's going to be crazy next year's draft. But we're not here to talk about next year's draft. We're here to talk about the 2023 season. So, guys, let me know in the comment section below what you guys thought of, obviously, this rumor. Like I said, don't push the envelope. Take it with a grain of salt. And what safety would you trade for that is out there right now? Just let me know in the comment section below. And I will see you guys on the next one. Make sure, if you last this long in this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video as well. Cover the Eagles every single day, every day of training camp, every day of everything. You guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Shake Squad up, follow side. Peace out, guys. Peace.